afternoon, participants. Please, you have to bear with me. I'm under the weather. My voice is not very clear. I could have done justice to this paper, but because of my health condition, I'll just take the PowerPoints. I hope you will bear with me. First and foremost, I want to thank the Almighty God for making it possible for me to be at this conference. And also to my in-law, George Genyi, who encouraged me to be part of this conference this year. I want to also thank the organizers of this conference, that God will continue to guide and protect them in all that they do, so that next year too, we'll find ourselves here. This paper titled, The Role of Women Organizations in Conflict Resolution in Benue State, Nigeria. This paper examined the strategic role women and women organizations play in the resolution of conflicts in Benue State, especially in the last 5 years. The state has been saddled with a lot of conflicts emanating from pastoralists and farmers, and the women are greatly involved, or they are greatly or mostly affected, and they play a very important role as regards conflict resolution. Why am I saying this? Because the women in Benue State are mostly farmers, and when this crisis evolves, they are mostly affected. And because they are engaged in agricultural production that sustains the economic and population, government has responded in addressing these conflicts, but we must reckon with the great role women under several organizations have sought to interface government in preventing these conflicts, and also offering relief materials to victims of these conflicts, that which our religions preach, that we must show compassion to those who are in need. And the women in Benue State, those in NGOs are doing just that. Introduction. Violent conflicts of communal, ethnic, religious, and political nature have become a recurrent decimal in Nigeria and Benue State. Communal, inter-ethnic, political, and more recently, herdsmen and farmers' conflict have led to loss of lives and property, increased poverty, and massive displacement of people. Women tend to suffer most, especially, for example, sexual abuse, psychological pains, and carry the burden of caring for children and the aged. If you find yourself in Benue State, especially during the Agatu crisis, it is really a sorry state, because you find women carrying children on their back with their loads on their heads. You see a woman carrying a child at the back, one on her right hand or two on the left hand. That is the plight of the women in Nigeria when it comes to conflicts. In a study conducted in 2001 by USAID, which analyzed the impact of deadly intrastate conflict on women and women organizations from Rwanda, Cambodia, Guatemala, Salvador, and Georgia, showed that there are 5 major impacts of intrastate conflict on women and gender relations. Violence against civilians, of which 95% is female. Internal displacement, of which 90% is women and children. The definition of female identities in the society, both as victims and as perpetrators. Increased poverty and starvation as a result of targeted destruction of civilian property, and communal violence leading to lasting bitterness, anger, and hatred. Women organizations in Nigeria and Benue State with key roles of conflict resolutions. In Benue State, we have so many non-governmental organizations. And I'm happy to tell you that I belong to one of the organizations, which is the Catholic Women Organization. And we're doing great work in the area of conflict resolution with my sister who is here with me at this conference, Dr. Membi George Genyi, who was our one-time president of the CW. And we're doing a great job in the area of conflict resolution. Two reasons for the negligence of women involvement in conflict resolution. One, cultural and religious reasons. Two, most Nigerians tend to believe that the issue of conflict resolution belongs to the realm of government and the business sector only. As a result, a comprehensive understanding of the role of women organization in peace building and conflict resolution has continued to be a major gap in literature, particularly in contexts of developing countries such as Nigeria, hence the need for this study. Theorizing liberal feminist theory. The theory is premised on the assumption that gender inequality in society is a product of patriarchal and sexist patterning of division of labor. Therefore, gender is socially constructed and is manifest in the division of labor, where domestic work that is devalued and not remunerated is assigned to women, while work outside the home is highly remunerated and is assigned to men. For the women organizations to be deeply involved in conflict resolution and their contributions to be appreciated, there has to be a change in our cultural beliefs and attitudes. Findings. This paper has reviewed findings on contributions of women organizations in conflict resolution from the global, Nigeria, and Benue states as follows. Schaeffer 2002 observes that the women NGOs are mostly active in trauma counseling, microcredit, voter education, gender awareness, law reform, and political advocacy. They draw the attention of authorities to civilian security. For example, through security sector reforms and greater participation of women in police force, judiciary, and in peace communities. In West Africa, Alaga 2010 says that women have played significant roles in situations relating to peace and war for centuries, primarily as traditional peacemakers, as priestesses who confer with gods to determine whether it was right to go to war or not, as praise singers for men during battles, as a boost to ensure their victory, or as custodians of culture. Pisaye, Degari, Ajamasu, and Muhammad, 2015, observed that the role of women organizations in conflict resolution in Nigeria can be traced as far back as to the Aba women riots of 1929, the Egba women movement of the early 1920s, and so on and so forth. In Benue State, women organizations have also played significant roles in conflict resolution. Their role has been demonstrated particularly in the conflict between herdsmen and farmers in Benue State between 2011 to 2016, which led to loss of lives and property and left a lot of people in refugee camps, towns, and other settlements, including Agagbe, Naka, Atukbu, Seyobogo, and other missionary centers outside the conflict areas, including Mission Station, Ajigba, of the Interchurch and other Christian centers, like the Catholic Church premises in Agagbe and the voluntary organizations in the local government areas, Women Environmental Program 2012. Women organizations such as Catholic women organizations in Benue State, that's my own organization. We do a lot in trying to resolve conflicts. Women organizations such as Catholic women organizations in Benue State have at different times reached out to different groups for deliberation, negotiation, compromises, and agreements on conflict resolution, Ekelagwe, 2003, etc. Challenges: lack of funds to implement conflict resolution programs. People still believe and look up to government for the resolution of public problem and conflict. Poor partnership between government and other institutions outside the scope of the state in conflict resolution. Most women organizations that are involved in conflict resolution lack experience, exposure, and skills in negotiation, advocacy, and lobbying techniques. Women organizations in Benue State are also faced with the challenge of marginalization and stigmatization by powerful government and other non-governmental organizations. Conclusion and recommendation: there must be change of attitudes among the people regarding the role of women and women organizations in Benue State and Nigeria in general. Government at all levels in Nigeria need to partner with women organizations and other groups to resolve conflict. Women organizations in Benue State working in the area of conflict resolution needs to be strengthened in terms of training skills and methods of operating and functioning. Women organizations in Benue State need to develop alternative ways of raising funds to implement their problems.